Hi, I'm Nicolas Lofgren, and welcome to People in Perspective. Joining me on the program is Jennifer Tryban, a fine arts photographer.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I would like to start us off by asking, what type of photography do you do currently?
Currently, I am working with pinhole photography, mainly, and developing it using cyanotype printing process.
And you mentioned pinhole photography. Can you maybe elaborate, explain a little bit more what that exactly is?
Sure. So pinhole photography is it's a very old type of photography. You can actually make your own pinholes, cameras. You can make them out of a variety of objects. It goes off of the basic principle that you make a very fine pin prick in a piece of metal, and you attach it to any type of light, a box or any type of object that light does not permeate. And when the light goes through that pinhole, whatever you are pointing the camera at, it creates the image onto either the film or a piece of photosensitive paper that you put into the box. It's, like I said, it's a very old process, and it's kind of neat because you can create these boxes out of anything from, I've made them out of old cigar boxes. I have some just out of metal tins, like the tins that you have for mints. You can even, there are some famous photographers that do this. They've made it out of peppers. Like they've just, created a box out of, a pepper, or you can make them just out of anything, and it's kind of neat. There's some photographers that actually have made multiple pinhole cameras where you'll have one box but multiple camera holes in there, so all the images, and it creates a nice image on there. It's interesting.
Sounds like a very creative and interesting process. I know there's probably a printing process involved with your pictures, so can you maybe explain how do you print your pictures?
Sure. So if I'm not printing those directly on a piece of photosensitive paper, it'll be on a piece of film. I can either direct contact print, just depending on the size of the film, right onto the photosensitive paper, or I will take the negative, scan it into a computer, and then print it onto a piece of acetate or transparency, so that I can then direct contact it onto the paper. Like I said, currently I'm experimenting and working with cyanotype. So that uses two different types of chemicals. You put the chemicals together and it creates a light-sensitive, the light-sensitive chemical with a, where the picture is actually a blue hue. And then you can print those under just UV light, or even take the picture in a contact frame, put it out into the sunlight, and it prints out that way. And then you just wash off the chemicals in water, and you'll have your image.
That sounds really cool. What is your educational background with photography? You seem very experienced.
So I have worked with photography since high school. I took some classes in the School of the Art Institute while I was at high school, because they have some nice high school classes. And then I went on to Columbia College here in Chicago and took some more classes, and that's where I received my Bachelor's of Art in Fine Art Photography.
And have you always been interested in photography, like for your whole life since you were a kid, or?
I haven't been interested in my whole life. I started off very young drawing. and then working my way up to doing sculptures, painting, even some printmaking processes. But it wasn't until I took those classes in high school and then that I got really interested in photography.
And what are the different types of photography you've done?
I have done, I mean, besides all the different fine art photography, I have done digital photography. I've done, let's see, street photography, where I'll just go out into the street and I'll take pictures, you know, of people going by. I have done macro photography, where you get very close to an object and it's almost like you get the very fine details of what something is from like the close-up level. I have also done photographs of families and children and weddings, things like that too.
Okay, it's cool that you've done a lot of those. What inspires you to take photos?
Well, there's besides other artists that inspire me. There are when I'm just outside looking at like nature, and I look for different types of compositions that is, to me, appealing to the eye. So it can be about color as well. Right now, like I've said before, I dabble into kind of like a macro, looking at the image. To me, it's very interesting to look at something at very up close and the details, because it can it distorts what you're looking at, and you don't know what. Sometimes it makes it very abstract.
Okay, and what is the difference between professional and like a hobby photography?
I mean, that's a very tricky question. So I think any photographer could be a professional photographer, even a hobbyist. It's really where you, it's how far you want to take that interest and dive deep into learning about it and pursuing it. Some people say that a true professional photographer is somebody that makes a living off of photography. But like I said, I think anybody can be a professional photographer, as long as you're, you know, very interested in pursuing that dream.
Well, thank you for being on the show. I'm glad that you came on, and it's been a pleasure learning learning more about you and photography overall.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Of course. I'm Nicolas Lofgren. See you next time on People in Perspective.